Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with Leaf Spirits. I'm Matty.
Hi, I'm Colin.
Good evening, I'm John.
Now, this is Scottish Cup semi-final weekend, or just the weekend for us, obviously. When they involved, we opted out of the Scottish Cup earlier in the season, decided it wasn't for us this season. So,
Is that a conscientious objection?
In a way, how shit is it going to Hampden getting beat?
This is true.
In a way, I'd rather be in house watching somebody else getting beat.
There was a delicious amount of Schadenfreude watching the games this weekend.
Do you want
a
random tidbit of knowledge?
Yes.
I know the English equivalent word for Schadenfreude.
Okay.
I got curious about it one day and I went looking for it, and if I remember rightly, it's epicaricacy. There you go.
All right.
You will do nothing with that for the rest of your life.
Well, that's what you think.
What does it mean?
So I think the German is to laugh at someone else's misfortune.
Yeah, pretty much get
take pleasure
at somebody else's expense, pretty much. And in this case, laughing at Hearts, which is never a bad thing. Although you did have to offset it. And Aberdeen, yes, you did have to offset it with the sort of ill ease you get with sort of being sort of happy is the right word, but almost enjoying them winning. Do you know what I mean?
Was more. It was about.
It's horrible.
They want anybody to win it. The 4 teams are like, they want anybody to win it.
Correct.
What would be the worst one to win it? That's where I was.
Aye, that was the way I approach these things as well.
And is that
a goalie getting cramp? How the fuck? He's just stood there all game. Some fuck off.
Mentally.
Put his own player up.
Aye.
Like, players in fucking shiny still because he's standing for ages. Like, get up. Fucking walk over there and stretch yourself.
How do you get cramp as a goalie?
Fucking hell. We've got nothing else to do.
The equivalent would be like fans getting cramp. Fans getting fucking treatment because they've been standing for a while.
Oh, really? What? My legs? Oh, we'll drink some more water when you're standing watching the game then. For fuck's sake.
Oh, man. Do you know, I'm actually looking forward to having a night off for morning about Hibs and talking about statements and reviews and Black Knight and fucking all the rest of it. We're going back to 1992. We did this at the last international break, where we did quarter one of 1992. So the first quarter of 1992 is obviously just one. Today we're on to 9. The first of 2 9s, so the second quarter, 1992, which is April to June, if my counting is correct. John, do you want to kick us off and sort of talk through the last few Hibs results? I'm looking at it just now, and I think there's only really, 5 or 6 fixtures to talk about.
Well, I make it 7. Colin can check my workings, but it's interesting because just before we started recording, one of the things that came up was one of the topics that came up was attendances. Not that we planned on talking about it, but the first game. In fact, it wasn't even. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I was going to say it was the last game in March, albeit that would have been in quarter one. But there was 1,918 people.
Oh, you fucker, right?
Hibs versus St Mirren, where Gareth Evans scored the winner for Hibs and Mupp. I'm going to, based on the low score and the low attendance, I'm going to say it was a really boring game.
Can I just stop you there, John? But before were either of you used to there? Because, I reckon how credible we will be talking about St Mirren away in 1992 if you've not been there.
And you've got to think there'll be a lot of home fans here, I would have thought as well. So,
aye,
not many folk are actually
tricky one.
Witnesses here.
Tricky one.
I was only 10, and my parents were definitely, if not in the middle of getting divorced, definitely preparing for it. So there was distractions, and I wasn't there. Am I allowed an excuse for not being at the game, or is it just always unacceptable not to be at the game?
Unacceptable.
We can't talk about it.
No.
Right. Well, I'll summarise these results then. In the final quarter, or the second quarter of the year, 3 wins, 1 defeat, 3 draws. Finished the season on a high. 2-1 against Celtic, McGinley, and an own goal. I don't know who the own goal was.
You know,
Although,
looking at
one-
those, the three leading up to the last fixtures of Falkirk away, Aberdeen at home, and St Johnstone away, three games in a row with goals for Graham Donald.
what happened to him?
Whatever did happen to him. Well, look.
This
what
is where
happened?
someone's going to message us
happened?
afterwards and say, "Oh, he went on to manage fucking Stirling Albion or something."
He was at Hibs until
Oh shit, it
1998.
was at Stirling Albion.
1998, and then he left to go to Stirling Albion, and then finished off his days at Stenhouse
Get that,
United.
and he got 5 goals the whole time he was here.
And
Right?
three of them
And
in
what,
3
3 of them in 3 weeks.
only 43 appearances. I don't know if he was unlucky with injuries or just didn't get a look in.
It's a lot
hung about
times
anyway.
a
It's
season, that, is it?
a long
Could
time
you-
Get
ago
off the
there.
bench.
Just while we're doing it, Mike, could you have a look at David Farrell? Because if I remember rightly, when we interviewed him and we talked about him and his time at Hibs, like I think he was at Hibs for a similar period of time, and this is where the internet might show me up. But my recollection is that he was at Hibs for a similar period of time and made a similar number of appearances. And I don't know whether it was just
I'll
the
look
way
at
that players came through the youth team at that point. Like, or maybe someone else that can remember things a bit more about that period of time. Like, why did players have 7 years career? Because like when we were talking about Josh Campbell last year, Colin would have been absolutely against that. Like anyone like Graham Donald being at Hibs for 7 years,
88,
making
88 to 95, Farrell.
Was it?
7 years.
To overlap this period, yeah. 82 games.
That's well, just over 10
Not
games a season.
But Farrell had a spell where he was in the team a lot, and then he was out of the team, and it was like sort of sub.
Only a season and a half, supper. Really, 82 games.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's bad. Five goals in however many years, and 3 of them coming in the space of 2 weeks.
Look at the attendances, eh? Like, well, even Celtic away, 25,000. So even the greatest fans in the world, like 25,000. But other than that, like, look at their games: 3,000, 4,000, 3,000, 6,000, 3,000. That's fucking incredible, eh?
Aye,
Like,
even-
they're just nobody was going to games then, eh?
Aye, even Celtic. Ken, look at that. It's 25.
That's what I mean.
Aye, 25,000.
Where did we finish in the league then?
We finished 5th.
5th or something, isn't it?
Aye, there's the league table there. So we were 5th on 49 points, just tucked in behind Dundee United, who were still reasonably decent at that point. 51 points.
And
there.
we got into Europe, but that will be because we won the Skull Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We'll maybe have some European games to cover at the next international break as we kind of go into the latter part of 1992.
Something we'll need to keep an eye on is when you start getting 3 points for a win, because that's still 2 points for a win and 1 for a draw.
Was it?
I've done the mental arithmetic. Colin, check my working.
Aye, you're right. Aye, it's 17 fucking draws. 44 games.
That's
in a
Alec
week,
Miller,
right?
right? To Tigro when he wasn't like having a proper exciting team.
Aye,
Miller's
but look
teams
at
were
it.
just like get a
I
result.
know. But look at all the draws for the other teams. Celtic, 10. Dundee United, 13. So that could explain, when we went to 3 points, one of the reasons would be get the draw, because it's only a point of difference. You know what I mean?
Aye.
It's like,
Yeah, you
it's
can stay in touch.
but the negative point, Connie, I suppose, is like, because I think we said before, when one of the conversations we had about changing how do you make it more exciting? They had the 2 points again, because then Rangers Celtic can't stretch far enough away. But then look at the amount of draws you end up with, because everybody's in double figures in that top 7. Well, 3 up to 7.
Aye. What else is going on in the world in 1992 around this time?
The general election.
The
92.
general election, right? So, this was pre Tony Blair getting in, wasn't it? So this would have been
Aye,
John
the
Major.
last story batch. Yeah, it was. That was John Major in charge then. Aye. He had taken over the Thatcher in what, 90 or something?
Did any of you watch Spit and Image?
Aye, we
Aye.
used to watch it with my mum and dad. Aye,
Did you watch it immediately after London's burning?
Aye. Was there no break? Did it come on straight after it? Or was the news on? News at 10 would have been on, eh? Spin
I'm not sure.
You would have the news first.
In my memory, it was one, then the other, but
Aye.
the news might have been on in between.
Do you think they'd get away with it? Because they tried to revive Spitting Image recently, didn't they?
Aye. It was
But-
on Britbox. Like
Was it?
Britbox exclusive. Aye.
I was wondering if it's the sort of thing you wouldn't get away with now, because mine did the who was it? Kind of like spitting all everywhere.
Hardly.
Kind of things like that you just wouldn't get away with now. Do you know, like taking the piss out of physical characteristics of politicians and that. It was like it was funny. Like Spitting Image was a good program. Kind of it was entertaining. But now I think that's the sort of thing that would be sort of frowned upon, isn't it?
I wonder how that might play out in the coming weeks and months, because I don't know if you saw in the news recently, there was, I don't know if it was the folk that are in charge of adverts, but the gist of it was basically that you're going to get more party political campaigns that not that they mirror those in the US, but if you've seen any from the US, and it's basically like smear after smear after smear. I wonder if you then go into more of a sort of like a gutter slandering of your
Yeah.
politicians. One of the reasons
you
why
know-
I think that Spitting Image might not work today is because actually your politicians are beyond parody, beyond satire. Because everything that they do is just, it's in your face, it's on the news, it's there all the time. There's nothing really to take the piss of because they are so openly shite.
You're spot on. Because the scandals back then were scandals for like somebody riding above in their Chelsea strip.
Aye.
Right? The scandals now, they're ripping folk off like left, right, centre, and it's like so fucking no. Like they just fucking brazen it out. They go, fuck you. She's avoided some capital gains tax, maybe. And they're like, you've helped millions out of the fucking
But
place."
billions.
It's like, so fucking what? That's the real thing. Like,
There was a boy just the other week that blackmailed showing his cock on
aye.
some dating app and then giving other names away. And they'll just
Oh,
shrugged
yeah.
their shoulders and went,
Yeah.
aye,
So what?
doesn't matter.
Used to just be affairs on that. Like,
Aye.
which is a horrible thing for the family involved. But that was like the big scandal. Whereas, like, was that like that horrible for the wife and the kids? Or the was the guy, eh? But I think the scandal's never worse. But we actually downplayed or they're downplayed.
John
yeah.
Major, just with him, he had it away with Edwina Curry, did you know?
Aye. That came out after though.
That, post Prime Minister
Aye.
time, wasn't it? Aye.
This election, if I remember right, I think I'm right, is the one that Kinnock was like going to win. I'm sure that Labour were in the lead, and even on the night of or the night before, there was like almost a celebration party.
Aye.
Because I was young, I was into like kind of like modern studies at school and all that. And I was
Mhm.
like, what was that? 14 at this point. I was into him. My dad was right Labour Party member and all that at the point. And it was like, they'll get in, get rid of these Tory bastards, blah blah blah, and just
Fucked it.
somehow like the polls fucked it, or the polls never fucked it for them, but the polls gave that impression, almost like I don't know if it then kept folk in the house because they thought we were going to win anyway, or what happened, but it was a bit of a surprise that the Tories got in. It took another 5 years to get rid.
Because Kinnock was getting at the fucking running along the beach, everything, punching the
Aye.
air and
Yeah, it was like a proper big celebration conference thing and that. 'Cause I remember, like I've read a bit. We've not done 97 yet, but I've read like Alistair Campbell's one of his diaries and all that kind of stuff, Tony Blair's autobiography and that. They were like, we're not fucking celebrating anything until we won. And that was like they were going. Everybody knew they were winning that in '97, but they were like, we're not fucking doing anything until because of what happened here. Because Campbell was quite friendly with Kinnock
yeah.
back in the day, so it was a bit of a surprise at that these cunts got in again. But that's the thing, yeah. It's like can Labour get a wee shot and then they get back in for fucking ages again. That's how the country works,
Aye.
or England works.
It's because we'll talk about it when I suppose when we did 97, but when Labour did eventually get in, I remember like the big celebrations, everyone was like delighted
Aye.
to get rid of
I remember going
the-
into work. I was working, like just a young folk was it then, 18, 19 when they got in, and I mean going into work and folk were like buzzing on the Friday morning and that.
Aye.
Like in the office, because like they're going, like we're rid of them. But it's okay.
It's not going to be the same when it happens this time, though.
No,
Like,
no.
folk will be happy to get rid of them because the bunch that we've got now are fucking that like you said, John, beyond parody, but it's just more of the same going in. I think that's what it feels like, eh? So I think it'll be different times.
I think more division now, though. Like, I think back then, like, you didn't have like people reading everything what they want. Basically, what they want to read on social media. I didn't mean it that way, but the algorithms
Stuff I
force.
agree with.
Aye, so it's reinforcing how bad they are and how great we are. So it creates a bigger division. Because you could go some points and go like, as ridiculous as it sounds, you could be an SNP supporter, if you want to call it that, or voter that goes, I quite like that Labour policy though. I wish the SNP would do that, but you didn't get that anymore because it's like no, SNP, Labour, totally bad. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't have. I quite like that wee thing they're doing. Could we maybe bring that into your thing? If it does that, it's like no. If they say that's fucking total on the no list, and I think that's what social media has changed a wee bit. I don't know. I don't because I can't really compare it, because I was probably too young, but also there was no fucking internet back then.
Aye. You just had spit an image, taking the piss at them
Aye.
all. What's that?
If you had the internet, everybody would be fucking SNP and Tories would have been looking at that age.
Okay.
And we fucking
I'd love to see the guys behind Spitting Image putting up a puppet version of the camper van that they took from outside. Was it Peter Morell's mum's house?
Aye. Right, we'll move on for politics and the general election, just mostly because I didn't want to have him up on
See
the
on that
screen
though,
for any longer than
do it.
absolutely necessary.
Actually, when I was looking this up, months ago when we first started talking about it, the coincidence. So do you believe in coincidences? No, I can never remember which one it is.
Aye, coincidences, but coincidences just like things that happen accidentally. There's no reason behind them. That's
Right,
what I believe in.
right. Oh, aye, okay. Party politics won the Grand National just weeks before the election, which was a bit of coincidence. I don't know what Letitia and that and his pal Johnny Numbers would think about that.
Aye, need to count up.
Johnny Numbers.
Johnny Numbers.
One of the best bits of that I watched before ever, right? I tell Carol, she's like, "You fucking never." I said, "You need to watch this wee bit," and I was at you to watch it as well, eh? And I'm like, "You need to watch it because it's fucking like cringeworthy stuff." But I couldn't stop watching it, right? Because I love like looking awkward as fucking right. So I like The Office and all that as well. And he's making shit up about numbers. You'd look at that sheet that you've got in front of you and going 37, 37, that's 10, and 10 means it, and you're like, you just fucking make stuff up. But at one point he went, so 4 plus 4, and that's 8. Well, 8, 8's 8. You can't even fucking say it's 8. You fucking mix it up a bit.
Because there's money in it. These fucking bampots. Because look how many hits that boy's got for just being a fucking idiot.
Oh.
We definitely need to tap into that market, just making up shit like that. And it's just like, aye, we can make up the meanings of numbers and things like that. No bothering.
But you can see Letitia thinking in his seat. He's almost thinking, "Fuck me. I just moaned about fucking being locked down, man. That was all. Here I am, this kind of ramming on these numbers and making stuff up. Tell me Johan Cruyff in the witness protection because 3 plus 3 is 6 and 6 plus 8, which is 8, equals 14. He used to be 14, so he's in witness protection. What the fuck are you going on about?" And he's just sitting there and you could hear him go, it was almost like the subject. Every time he changed the subject, he got him wanting something else.
Amazing.
Oh man, I was going to say it's worth a watch, but it's only worth a watch. Not to believe it, didn't believe it. Anybody watch it, just watch it and go, "Oh, thank fuck, I'm normal."
Ish. I think that I enjoyed what you said was Letitia sitting there realising what he's become. Because there's a prick, eh? Like, I mean, and the thing is, it's I can get a few weeks, maybe 6 months at max. That'll be Joey Barton sitting there.
Aye. Because he'll be seeing the numbers on it.
Aye.
Just a grifter, eh?
He'll not understand it, but he'll wear the glasses, pretend he understands it.
Oh, you can't understand it. The boys just make shit up, like off the cuff. Aye, there's nothing to understand. He's just looking at any number and adding it up to make whatever he wants it to be. It's fucking wild stuff. But it's the thing about something. They know something. Like what? Like you're not even making something up to make me interested.
Did they say anything like wake up people or stop being a sheep? Anything like that?
No, quite. But it was almost. It was that kind of like sneering thing that kind of said in it. Weekend something happening. I think it's going to be a good thing. But why? Like, why? Tell me what? Like, what's a good thing? Fucking. Oh, anyway, that was this year, not 1992.
Aye.
We'll need to cover that in 20 years' time when we look back at 2024.
John, you before we start talking, we'll come on to Euros because it was a Euro year. We'll come on to Euros in a second, right? But John, you talked about a guy, a strong man with a particular feat. What happened here in 1992?
It was just something that caught my eye purely by chance, but a guy called Dave Gowder or Goder, he pulled a 196-ton jumbo jet 3 inches. Just, I don't know, like I assume it was notable at least for 1992, and that it was further than someone had pulled a jet before. It's just one of those mad things. Like I get the idea of if you can, you should, or you should get a go. But also, like, this is the only time I've ever heard this guy's name, so it's not like he's went down in infamy. It's amazing, but so what?
The picture on the screen there looks like the plane's violating him, doesn't
it? He also looks like the bad guy. Was it Ghostbusters 2? Was it Vigo, the boy in the
He
paper?
does. I don't think Vigo could have, mind you, he could have used his supernatural powers to move the plane, but I think he could have pulled it by a harness. That's mental. Like, how would you find out you could do that?
I try it.
Do you think he was maybe a baggage handler and just went, like, during his lunch break or something, just went, I'm going to fucking pull that plane?
But obviously, that happens, like, this is pre 9/11, right? Can you imagine trying to ask, like, you rock up at Edinburgh Airport and say, can I have a wee shot on your tarmac for a minute? I want to try and pull a plane. But fucking that, you need to take your shoes off and go through there first, Ken, and get scanned through and all the rest of it. Aye. Like, the red tape and paperwork and admin you'd have to go to try and pull a plane now is fucking ridiculous.
And I wonder, he must have thought after it for 3 inches. Like, I mean, the wheels got barely fucking turned.
Aye, because that'll not be a full revolution, will it?
No, of course.
No, I think it sounded like I'm downplaying it. To be fair, like it's a pretty impressive thing to do.
Is it?
Well, I think so. Like in a world where we've one of us has made claims of being better than a professional footballer at Hibs. Right, I'm not going to downplay a boy pulling a fucking aeroplane. Like I definitely couldn't do that. Like if somebody went back and go and have even a light aircraft, this boy's like a jumbo jet. Even a light aircraft, I wouldn't fancy my chances with.
I'm so confident I'm better than him, despite you downplaying that.
Right, but could you pull a plane?
Could you?
What would you?
I've got more fucking hope of that than him.
What would your moniker be, Colin? Because this Dave Gowder is going by Angelly Strength, according to the images over on the left-hand side. We're going to need to think of something for you. or will it just be better than Jair?
He's also gone by Big Dave. Dave Gowder in brackets, Big Dave, which is better than Angelly Strength, isn't
it?
Big Dave sounds like a guy that's just wandered at the pub and decided he's going to pull a plane. Angelly Strength sounds like you should be able to pull a plane further than 3 inches.
I think this one looks like he's pulling fucking Concorde. Well, it would if it was in focus. Whoever takes that photo is a fucking nightmare. Here's a better one. What on earth is he doing there? Dave Gowder pulls Concorde 40 feet in June 1987. That's been impressive in 3 inches, isn't it? Like 40 feet's a decent. I mean, Concorde can fly transatlantic. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not going to replace the flying part.
It'll be lighter.
Definitely more aerodynamic. Anyway, right.
Interesting.
I'm quite impressed with Big Dave. The Euros, Colin.
Aye. What about we finish the league though first?
If you want.
I don't know. We are the Euros if you want. I was just making we want to talk about who won the league and who won the cups and that. Who did win that? It was Rangers, was it? Celtic came third.
Well, for some reason, why would you do this, right? See if you're Wikipedia and you're going, you've got to get some historic league cup football results and that in. That's good. Mine include the league table. Great. But just stay positions 3 to 7. Why? Like,
yeah.
how much money do you think they've saved by not putting in 1 and 2? Or the bottom
That's
teams?
mad. That's mental. Is that because you're on the Hibs page?
Well, even if you just go to final league table, it just takes you to, well, I suppose Scottish Premier Division, final league table.
That's weird.
It might have done that.
Unless someone's edited the Hibs page to have just that portion of the league table, and it's only us that's still interested in it. No one's ever gone back to refresh it.
I need to give some.
Aye, who gives a fuck? It's
The Scottish Cup, it was the Rangers seem to have won it, but what I remember about that was I remember
there you go.
they beat Airdrie in the semi. They beat Airdrie in the final. That was when Airdrie were horrible bastards,
Aye,
mind.
they were like a mini
But they
Hearts, weren't they?
They beat Hearts in the semi final. I remember I was at a rugby camp thing at area at Watt, and that was when they played them. I think they played them. They went to a replay. I just looked that up, and they beat them on penalties. April '92. So Airdrie beat Hearts in the semi that in the replay. I remember watching it in the thing. What I also remember about that is the music died. I remember this. I can't break this boy, Oban or somewhere up that way was there, and he done something. He was late. He kept being late or something. His punishment was to sing in front of everybody in one of the lecture hall, right? And he sung "Deeply Dippy" by
Right side Fred.
Right Said Fred, which was in the charts on this quarter. And I thought, even then, I was like, imagine having the balls to stand up and just do it, because he was actually all right, like 14-year-old
Aye.
or whatever, we all were, 15, whatever, and done that. So Deeply Dippy that in the charts to bring that in there.
See
But
what's interesting about the table, interesting to me, 44 games. So played everybody 4 times. No split. Just a straight.
Yeah.
There's a
And you still had the League Cup, you still had the Scottish Cup, you still had Europe, right? So how
Aye.
did they have that many games to play? Mine did COVID when they went, there's enough midweeks. Probably less games in Europe though, because it would be straight knockouts then, rather than really convoluted group stages and that.
Yeah, because the Champions League was started this season, didn't it? Or 1992. Was
Aye.
so it would be the start of the next again season, I think.
And aye, so before that it would just be the European Cup, so you just got somebody at a hat and had 2 games. Yeah, home and away.
Would you go back to that format?
44 games.
44 games, but no split. There's an extra 2 teams in there, obviously, right? So you've got a couple of shite ins in, which is fine. There wouldn't be that shite there. Like if you
They're
had,
the same old teams.
Ken, if you said if you had well, no, you've got right. So Airdrie, Dunfermline, Hearts.
Yeah.
Right, 3 shite teams that shouldn't be there.
Airdrie's at the higher end of the championship, are they not? They're pushing the playoffs.
Airdrie doing all right. This is Falkirk's in there, as I say then.
But there's teams that you see round about. It's not like that much change, is it?
That's it. I mean, you're not going that far back to have seen Dunfermline in the top flight, or even Falkirk, or wasn't it that long ago that they were? It doesn't feel that long ago that they were kicking about there. Dundee United are just going to come up, but you could bring in Dundee United and Wraith, and you wouldn't lose any real quality for the league. I think if they came up there now, would it make it less interesting when they split though?
Many. I think it's too many 44, because I think there's like there'll be a lot of teams there in the middle that weren't really playing for anything. You think only the top 3 got to Europe, and then it was cup winners that got the other 2 spots, right?
Aye.
Or the Rangers got the spot because they got beat in the cup final. So actually, look at that. Like the top 3 are all 72, 63, 62. But then after that, like nobody's playing for anything. Because you're that far clear of relegation. You know what I mean? It's a right soft middle. So I bet Hibs were that way. The attendances were shite. Well, part of the reason, I guess, like you're playing in front of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Because everybody's like, fucking again, fuck's sake. Yeah, and what we're playing for, fuck all. We're already in Europe, won the cup in October.
Aye.
So I think it's maybe too many, mate.
Aye, okay. Right, the Euros, it was a Euro year.
It was. It was also the last year of the English First Division.
Before it became the Premier League? Was it start off with the Premier League or the Premiership? What was its inaugural? Because they've changed the name over the years as well, haven't they?
Did it become the Premiership with Barclays?
Or was
when
it
they
the
started
Barclays?
sponsoring. I'm trying to remember all the different sponsors that they've had. But because I'm sure it was the Premier League to begin with, because
FA
it
Premier
was
League.
the first division.
Aye, it was
Premier
FA
League.
Premier League. Yeah.
FA Premier League.
And Leeds won the league that year, mind, just before before it came in Premier League. I think I was in Cantona, was in the team, and then he
Aye.
joined Man United straight after that.
He was a good player,
That was
Cantona.
when football changed, because now when the youngsters talk about football, they talk about it being in the Premier League era.
Aye.
Disregard anything that happened before it.
In pre-Premier League doesn't count,
No.
apparently. Well,
Anyway, I've distracted you enough. Get us on the Euro.
the Euros. John insisted we get a picture of the wee Euro rabbit up.
See over on the left-hand side, the Twitter image, I think that's the sort of real life version of it, and I was just quite taken with it because it harks back to a time when football was much simpler and you got mascots like the boy that you've got on the screen now. Whereas now, like I can't remember, and I wasn't at the game, so someone might need to remind me. There was a time in football where you didn't have opening ceremonies. You didn't have halftime shows or anything like that. You maybe got a wee rabbit wandering onto a pitch waving a flag, and that was it. The tournament was open. And I say this actually as a spot, presumably a woman in the background there with a bit of spandex on, so maybe there was something to open the tournament.
That looks like a wee gymnastic or gymnast. The rabbit, do you think this is any relation to the Cadbury's Caramel rabbit? If you remember for the advert, take it easy with Cadbury's Caramel.
I mean,
it's possible.
No, it's a bit like that. Yeah.
They must have quite big families, rabbits, given what they're sort of famous
for.
Like
rabbits.
Yeah, you would imagine that if they did one of these post your DNA tests, that there probably wouldn't be like a huge gene pool. So, what was it called? This one? Do they have a name?
I actually don't know.
Bernie.
Bernie.
Bernie. Yeah.
Bernie. Where are you seeing that?
Yeah.
See, now that you've got that picture up, he looks less and less like the Cadbury's Caramel Bernie.
It was the real life one. I thought, I can see a bit of similarity, but the drawings, yeah. There we go, Scotland, though. We've got the Scotland squad here. So, what do you remember the Euros '92 squad? We would have been, what age? 14?
14, aye.
When I have it, I remember is Mr. Tulloch in English, fucking clearing us out the class quick to get to watch one of the games. Was that this one?
No, that was Costa Rica, 1990.
Was it? Fucking hell.
Aye, because mate, it was a 4 o'clock kickoff and school used to finish at 4.
Right enough. Because he was like fucking coated and everything. He was like, just fucking go.
Door.
And he was
he was looking at the door. I made them checking the corridor.
Aye, he was ahead of the kids to get out the fucking building so we could get to the pub to watch it. Quality. That's exactly what we'd be like here now if you were a teacher. You'd be like, go watch the game. Right, test your knowledge. Can you name the squad starting front row at the left?
Yeah, that's McCoist.
Right. Who's next?
That's McClair, pre-beard.
Pre-beard, aye, and
pre-Neil Renton.
And shoes. Did you see the shoes that McClair played on when he did David Gray's testimonial? They honestly looked like he'd come straight off a park bench. It was fucking, and he did not give a fuck. I was full of admiration for him. Right, that's what's his face, McAllister, isn't it?
Yep. Hibs' Gordon Jerry.
Yep.
Paul McStay.
He right, McStay. Overrated, underrated, or about right? What's your recollection?
So when I was younger, sorry Johnny, but I remember him and think he was overrated. But as I've got older, I kind of appreciate. Like I don't know if I was just what it was, but now see like Callum McGregor and Barry Ferguson and all that. I think they were like class football players, right? Was McStay like one of them? And I was just like fuck Paul McStay back then. I don't know.
That's because we didn't like Celtic.
Aye.
Andy
If I grew up. That's what
aye, maybe you just you're about 2 years away from talking about tactics, Colin. Richard Gough.
Yeah.
Who wants to get the next
Grateful
one?
of
Stuart
Uh,
McCall.
aye. Right, number 9 was who?
that. So the number's got to throw you, eh?
Aye.
Because you're thinking, who's number 9?
Because he's one I didn't recognise looking at it.
Aye.
Who is it?
It's funny how some folk in the squad look exactly like you know who they are. Like Gally McAllister's face
Yeah.
hasn't changed, but then you've got Brian McClare there who has changed quite a bit. Paul McStay. When was the last time anyone saw Paul McStay?
He lives in Australia now.
Was he?
Is he?
Aye. Yeah. I heard Chick Young talking about him on. Chick Young was his agent or something. And he back in the day, or advisor or something. And he lives in Australia. He was back. He must have came back for something. He'd done a podcast on Radio Scotland or something. He lives in full time in Australia, which is mental because he didn't want to move to Italy when he could have, because he didn't want to travel too far away. He fucking lives permanently in Australia.
Right. Who's number 9?
It's Stuart McKimmie.
Stuart McKimmie, right. And then we've got Donkey.
Yeah.
Dave McPherson. And number 4, John.
That's legend.
Nah, I don't know who it is.
Morris Malpass.
Oh,
He
fuck's
of it,
sake.
aye. The best, well, my favourite Morris Malpass anecdote is just a boy posted on Hibsnet one time that just said that he'd called him a cunt. Like Malpass he'd moaned that much through the game that Malpass turned around and told him basically, "Shut it, you cunt."
So
That
you
was-
know what I was saying before about the rabbit and the sort of unrehearsed sort of nature of opening ceremonies, or getting the tournament kicked off or whatever. Like look at that picture.
Mhm.
Like so you know what it's like now when teams come out to they go either side of the ball and then they go round and give each other the big manly handshake and that.
Mhm.
Here you've got a team that just sits down awkwardly for a picture. There's Donkey Dave with his arms around folk. Nobody's quite sure what's happening, and then they'll go off and play a game of football for 90 minutes. Like it's
McCoist looks
without
that far away.
frills. Aye.
McCoist stands away to the side there and everything. Yeah, it's
He's
like
almost doing the Ashley Cole thing. I think that
Aye.
little way.
Aye. And the goalie would be in the middle, as well
Aye.
now.
Right, I'm just going to give you the numbers because it's that went through us as well, right? So number 1, obviously Gorham. Number 2, Richard Gough. Number 3, Paul McStay. Number 4, Malpass. Number 5, McCoist. 6, McClare. 7, Jury. 8, McPherson. 9, McKimmie. 10, McCall. And 11, McAllister. Why have they got those numbers?
So I know this,
I know you do.
but it is a bit mental. And I've been Googling it while you've been talking to make sure I was right.
How were you?
And
Do you
I'm
want
right.
to guess first, John? Do you want to have a guess at what the numbers might relate to? Because it's no, obviously, your standard squad number, is it?
Is it accusations against them?
Not number of personalities, right? Because Gorham's wearing one.
Right. I think Richard Gough might have also only had one. I reckon, going by the song, I never heard multiple songs about him. It was just the one that used to get belted out. So I reckon if it's about accusations, what was it called?
It's number of caps. Other than, as I've just found out. Well, I knew Gorham, right? So the goalie got number 1, which is the goalie, and I don't know if there's a rule on that, but I'm saying there's no rule on it. But Riordan wore 1, but it was 0-1, eh?
0-1, aye.
Aye, so I don't know, but so the goalie got number 1. Richard Gough got 2 because he's captain, I think, and then the rest on squad on caps, number of
All
caps.
right.
So it's on how many caps they had pre-tournament, which is why McCoy's won 5 and McKimmie's won 9, which you would probably have thought it might be the other way around. And you certainly wouldn't have David McPherson in the 8 role, would you?
Right, cool.
Like,
This'll
you can't have
be-
a baller at number 8 and you've got fucking him in there.
This will be a good few years before they opened up things to squad numbers. I think that was around about 98 and 99. And then it became commonplace where you get folk wearing 25, or Hisham Zeri Ali when he wore 0 in his
Yeah.
second spell at Aberdeen.
I mean, there was somebody in Italy wore like 81 because he wanted number 9, but they couldn't get number 9. So,
Zamorano,
So was
was
that
he
81?
Chilean?
but
That
aye,
was-
so it was
that
done
was
cap
right.
numbers.
Why Ireland did the 0-1, wasn't it? Because you couldn't get 10.
Aye.
Who
Yeah.
was 10?
Nish,
When
Nish, I think.
Nish.
was it?
The classic number 10.
The classic number 10. Decent team, you think, like, for your recollections of that one, Colin? As a 14-year-old.
Aye, I think it was alright. Yeah, I mean, like we're in the and this is the thing about these Euros. There was only 8 teams in it, so to quite actually qualify, like it was probably less countries back then, right enough, as well. But to qualify for an 8-team tournament, the best 8 teams in Europe, it must have been a pretty decent team, yeah. I'm just looking like at the full squad. Can you know who the reserve keeper was?
I take it was the Leighton.
No.
Brian
Who
Gunn?
did he play?
Was it Brian Gunn?
No.
Who did he play for?
Oh, if I get that, you'll get it right away.
Wasn't it like Henry Smith or something, was it?
It was. Aye.
Fuck
Henry-
off!
Henry Smith
Aye.
had to go to fucking Euros. Come
Aye.
on.
Well, unless there's another goalie with the surname Smith. It was Henry
Well,
Smith.
it would have been him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's fucking madness.
It's
Aye.
It was a Roxburgh in charge.
Aye, and then he came up with the innovation he did in the squad number thing.
Aye.
I don't know why I remember that. I thought you would know that. Surprised. Don't know.
Aye, I didn't ken it at
Daft
all.
memories of shit like that. But yeah.
oh, there's
What's
Murdo
that?
McLeod in there.
That-
Mo
that-
Johnston.
You know what that'll be? Would you think that would be the game we played against France? Mind we beat France in like '89. There's Robert Fleck on the right hand side.
Aye, Robert Fleck, Mo Johnson, Murdo
But it's that
McLeod,
strip I remember.
Roy
eh,
Aitken.
It's 1990 World Cup. Aye, that would be aye. There's some funny names. You look at the squad. Like so, you look at that team, not that team, the team the '92 team,
Aye, so
and you think that's not bad. It's quite a lot of well-known players in that in there. And then it's not a massive squad they took to the Euros, but the ones on the bench must have been like Tom Boyd, Derek White,
right.
and then you've got Alan McLaren. He'd probably be, was he young at that point? Don't know. And then the midfield that never played that night, McInally, Bowman, and Nevin. That'll be Jim McInally and Davy Bowman. I
Aye.
assume for Dundee United. That.
And Pat Nevin.
Pat Nevin. But Pat Nevin will never got a game because when they needed San Marino, we need a winger. Like that was the Roxburgh Craig Brown sort of thing. We'll play with it against the shit team. And then up front, Kevin Gallagher, who's the player, Judy Ferguson. That have been
Ian Ferguson, I would have thought.
two. That was the rest of the squad. But only 8 teams in it, which is some achievement to get there. Do you remember the tournament? Do you remember it, John? Were you too young?
Very vague
I-
recollections that
I do have vague recollections of it, and I don't know whether it was because of the storyline around Yugoslavia being.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I was going to say bombed out, but that's probably not the right way to describe it because of the civil war that they were prevented from playing in. But no, it was like a wee bit of that fairy tale story for Denmark, wasn't it? Like I don't think they were expected. The story was that they were all on the beach, but I think that was maybe over dramatized. I think they were still pretty prepared and kind of on standby while UEFA made a decision about Yugoslavia. But I think they got through the group stages with, I want to say, a similar record to Scotland. They drew one, won one, and lost one. And then they just managed, and I think that was where Schmeichel came to the fore. And this is one of the things that I remember about European Championships. Again, like it was that sort of early days of, or sort of pre-Premier League, but then subsequent European Championships and World Cups. Any player that seemed to stand out at the European Championships in particular, but also a little bit to a certain degree the World Cups. So like guys like Karel Pivorsky, for example, ended up coming and playing in the Premiership. Like you'd watch these guys on Match of the Day. One of my lasting memories, I think, of that tournament, and again it was around Denmark, was John Jensen scoring, and I don't think he'd ever scored before in his life. And I think he was playing for Arsenal at that point, or went to go in and play for Arsenal. But also a really bad injury for a Danish player. He collided, like him and a German player's knees collided, and it was a Danish player ended up with like a split kneecap or something. derailed a move to Italy, but he got himself sorted out after that, and he resumed his career.
What do you remember
My
from
memory
that
is,
one?
so it's a bit weird because I remember the squad number thing, right?
Mhm.
And I remember the last game, or the goals in the last game. Certainly two of the goals in the last game. Because we lost the first two games to Germany and fuck me, who's the other team? That team was-
CIS.
No, that was the third game.
Oh,
Holland.
was it Holland?
Aye, so we lost those games and we never scored in them. And then we went in the last game knowing we were out, I think. So we turned it on and we won 3-0 against the CIS, who was the Soviet Union had just disbanded. And that was what they were calling themselves at that point before they created fucking hundreds of countries that could then knock us to future tournaments.
They would
Later,
also go on to sponsor the League Cup in 2007.
Yeah, it's the lasting legacy there.
Decent.
So the last game we won 3-0 against the CIS team. And it was what I remember you were saying there about somebody's never scored a goal before. McClare scored. And I don't know how many caps he had at that point, but he is number 6. So he must have had fucking plenty caps. And that was his first goal for Scotland because he went on a massive not scoring for Scotland, but they kept picking him. Because there was always a bit of like, how's he getting a game? But for Man United, eh? So yeah, and like Ferguson loved them, didn't he? So I'm just looking up to see how many games it was he played for Scotland and how many goals he scored. Because I don't think he scored many more after that either. But it was a big, for my memory, a huge deflection. It was a huge deflection he scored, and then McStay's goal was a shot for distance as well that hit the post and bounced back in off the keeper's arm. But I see it went down as a McCoy's. Keep calling the wrong name. A McStay goal. But he shooted an OG. Anyway, he only played 30 games for Scotland.
Two goals.
Aye, I don't like. But then I suppose there was less games back in these days, eh? Less international breaks. Tournament only had 15 games in total. Never mind, like the game Scotland were in.
Yeah.
So 30 caps to be 5th or 6th on the list. What was his number there? 6. And he's only 30 caps. So I remember that, and then the third goal, the penalty, and McAllister scored that. I don't really remember. But that's it. It's just that I'm looking at attendances now. Even the attendances of these games are shit.
It's
You
mental,
think, aye, like folk just didn't give a fuck about football back in the days, eh? Like, didn't go to games. So obviously, I was at the game and talking about it.
It's funny because there was a time when football got absolutely huge crowds, and then you look at that where the crowds were shit, and then they did the Premier League and that reinvented football, and crowds came back on.
Do you know what the average attendance was in this tournament over the 15 games?
23,000.
28,674. That was per match. Because we had 14,000 at that CIS game I'm talking about, just over 14,000. So I don't remember an awful lot about it. I remember Denmark winning it and that. But basically there was 2 groups of 4, and the top 2 went into the semi-final. No fucking about, eh? No pissed about with this third team getting into like the Euros we've got to watch this year. Even a group getting through, and it's harder to get knocked out than it is to get through.
Aye. Unless you're Scotland, obviously.
Oh, well managed, I'm sure.
Aye, we'll find a way. Right, we're out of time.
You remember one thing that I think is interesting? The big innovation that came after this tournament.
After this one?
3 points for a win was something that came soon after that.
Passback.
Aye, passback rule. You could still
pass back
in this tournament. That was where it ended after that tournament.
It's funny what you were saying.
Made football better though, eh? Like break it there, because folk did just literally fucking roll it to the keeper, pass it back to the keeper, they'd pick it up, bounce it a few times, kick it, and then just end up back with him again. Fucking boring. But
now we've got that split in the centre halves thing.
Aye.
And I'm a bit like, Pep, man, can you make something new up?
Something fun.
Let them all copy something else.
John, what were you going to say there? Sorry, I kept talking. You were coming in with probably something more interesting to say.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was just with regards to the passback rule. So like all these things that we've talked about, like we kind of lived through them. But I think it was something that Colin said earlier about like youngsters in the Premier League. There's folk born now that don't remember a time when you could pass it back to the keeper and they could pick it up penalty free, or infringement free.
Yeah. Just think like that would have been a time where a player heading the ball back to the keeper never got around the applause.
Aye. Or off the thigh. In that one.
Aye, off the
Oh,
eye, or
brilliant.
knee, or
That's
that, whatever, aye. Fucking well done,
class.
clever.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Innovator. Another first.
Right, we're out of time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed that wee trip down memory lane. I think there's a place called Memory Lane anywhere. Bound to be, yeah.
Aye.
There's a quality street in Edinburgh, so I think, and a Dick Place in Rosyth. So I think if you've got a Dick Place, a quality street, there's bound to be somewhere called Memory fucking Lane. Or just
Somebody will
Memory
make
Lane.
that
Eh?
Because
Yeah,
you name
Google
these streets all the
Maps.
time.
Hold on a wee second. Google Map it. Right, Google Maps. This is like the last thing that we're going to do of note here. Memory Lane.
There is in London somewhere.
Right, London. Let's see. Well, that's not very good, Google, is it? Look where it's zoomed that far out. You've got fucking, you can see right across the fucking Atlantic.
Yeah, there's a memory lane in Leicester as well, so it's probably more common. I'm surprised you didn't see it more often on like social media, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. Just folk dancing about.
Aye. I think they should have more memory lanes about the place. Anyway, right, I can leave that there. That's enough for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, we'll be back next week with some football to talk about. We'll have extra time. What do you think we'll talk about in extra time this week?
What the fucking next
We'll decide on something. We'll pick something. If you don't already subscribe, you do get extra content if you're a subscriber. Extra time. It's one of them hugely popular episode in the series that we do. The various podcasts that come out. So if you're not subscribing, you are missing out. It's well worth it. You can subscribe at YouTube by becoming a member, or Hubwave or Patreon as well. Patreon is probably the easier of the two to navigate as in our experience. Right, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.